personality type. For me, because it was a huge chunk of change, especially this was like probably 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So back then, I had already started my business, but this was like me taking an even greater step of faith. And I know that, Tessa, you've invested in coaches as well.
Yes.
So do you
For
notice
years.
the difference? Because we also have a mastermind. And so we're a part of a mastermind. That's how Tessa and I met each other, was through our mastermind. But then we've also both separately had coaches. And I love our mastermind because it's so different, though. The mastermind I love because there is accountability, but it's more like I can come with a problem and then I get everybody's brain on it. Whereas the coach, I was like, do you know how much money I'm paying you? I want to know everything. I want to know the secrets behind the secrets behind the secrets, you know? And because of that, I was always prepared, always did my homework, always was like, yes, I did everything. I want to make sure that when we're done, I'm going to get the results that I'm looking for. Now, I don't know, Tessa, was that your experience?
Yes. Well, and I've had coaches, sometimes multiple coaches at once, because there's different coaches that are good for different things. You know, I had like a sales coach that I hired and specifically flew out to coach me on sales one time. And then, you know, having a coach that was specifically for confidence. I had a confidence coach and she was amazing. That's all she did was help me to just, you know, be like, I don't know that I could have been able to just hop into videos on Facebook like I do now if I didn't have someone saying you can do it and you just need to build it, you know. And then there's the business side, what Kai does, helping to get that momentum. But honestly, I think coaches they force you to think outside of what you're doing, but they also help you to see the bigger picture, right? We're so like buried in what's going on around us that we can't see that right in front of us.
Right. Now, I'm not saying go out and spend all your money, but what I am, because even then you have to find the right coach, right? But what I am saying is if you are going to get a partner, somebody to help keep you accountable, make sure it's not somebody who's going to let you slide by, right? Who's going to just be like, oh, it's okay. Don't find that friend. You need the friend who is either where you want to be or the friend who's very truthful and upfront with you. Don't find the friend who's just going to pat you on the back and tell you everything's going to be okay, right? You need to find somebody who's going to keep you accountable, not just to meeting, but to actually doing what you say. So that being said, let's move on to number 2. Relentless focus on the end goal makes you more likely to achieve success. Is this true or false, Tessa?
It is false.
Correct. Now, some of you are shaking your heads like, what are you talking about? I'm going to share a little secret with you. And actually, let me paint a picture for you of what typically happens, what I've seen in my own life and what I've seen in my practice with other people. And this is what happens is when you focus on the end goal, what success looks like. I want you to imagine it like your momentum, the things that you're doing is this rock, right? So our whole lives, we're trying to push this rock and we're trying to get it to where we want it to go. Now, we're on top of this hill, but we want to get over to this hill. So I'm imagining what success looks like over here with my huge boulder right here. That is super hard to push. And then I'm looking over there. And what am I thinking to myself? I'm like, wow, that would be so amazing. And then I also see the hill not hill, but the valley in between. I see the trees that might get in the way. I see the house that I might smash. I see all of the what ifs. And so not only am I focused on success and what I want over here, but I'm thinking about how hard it's going to be to get there. Right. I'm thinking about, and even if you're not focused on how hard it is, you could also be focused on, hey, here's success. And you're missing all of the things that are going to get in your way. You're not preparing yourself for those things. And then when they happen, you're so thrown off that you either A, give up, or B, you just stop and not thinking you've given up, but you're just pushing because you don't see that there's something in the way. So you keep pushing, which eventually will lead to the same conclusion of you stopping. because you didn't think to move that house out of the way, right?
Right.
So those are the two things that I have seen, especially being a goal setting mindset coach. So I do mindset and habits as a part of goal setting. Like that's how I do it, because what's the point of setting a goal if you're not actually going to achieve it? So Tessa's been to my workshops and she does this herself. What actually helps?
Well, I think you tell this actually, I wouldn't have thought of it this way until Kai taught it in the class that I was co-hosting. But that's to go with the very next steps, to break it out into step-by-step process and just tackle one of the steps, which is mind-blowing to me that, you know, I always am thinking like, I have to do all these things, or I have to do this thing an exorbitant enough times to be able to hit my goal. And you were talking about maybe, you know, be realistic and do the very next steps that you have to do to get there, which makes sense. You can't drive in a car and get to an end destination without getting to the next corner, right?
Yes, exactly. But we all like put in the GPS and we want to imagine the place that we're headed. But nobody wants to think about like, okay, well, I guess I got to buy the airplane tickets. I guess I got to go and book that boat to get over that river. I guess I got, you know, like there's all these steps in between, but we're so focused on the end that we're ill prepared for the present. Right? So let me repeat that again. You're so focused on the end that you are ill prepared for the present. Now, that is a horrible place to be, because then you feel like I'm stuck. I just can't do it. And you can do it. You're just focused on the wrong thing. Now, I am all for focusing on big goals. I'm all for dreaming big dreams. I'm very much a visionary. Tessa will tell you, she's like, hey, we're still on the first part of this and you've already created the second program. I'm like, I can't help myself. But the work, the output, like on a daily basis, you do the work you need to do to get to step one. To get to step two, right? Don't keep focusing on like, oh, I want to be able to do this beautiful TV show and and then you're like disappointed because you're on, you know, a live camera with your phone, like, and the background's not beautiful. Let me tell you, if Tessa and I were focused on those things, we'd still be sitting just talking about
this. We would never make it.
But we're working through it, and you can watch us from the beginning to even now. We just go through the bloopers like this is just a part of the show, so just enjoy it. Like whatever. In like 3 years from now, we're gonna have the funniest videos to show people. That's all I gotta say.
Awesome. Well, Marie Forleo had to start somewhere, right? And you can look at hers, and she's like in a house, just with a background and
Yeah, on her couch. That was her first one. On her couch in dark lighting. So it always makes me feel better, right? Now the last one is through number 3. So obviously you already know which one is the lie, which means that vision boards can be as damaging as they are powerful is actually true. Now we notice that in this group a lot there, and in every group, in every entrepreneurial circle I've been to, especially when it comes to women, vision boards are like the thing to do. And I am not bashing vision boards, just so we're very clear. But vision boards can actually harm your progress. Now people are like shaking their heads, telling me I'm an a-hole for saying any of these things right now.
Well, this is the one that blew my mind. This blew my mind. So it definitely makes sense. And I know Kai's going to explain it.
So it's the same idea, right, of relentless focus on your end goal. And that is basically what happens when we do a vision board. When we do a vision board, what happens is you're thinking of the end goal. You're thinking of the house that you want, the accolades that you're going to achieve. You're thinking on all of the things that are going to happen. Now, there's 2 things that can happen here. One is, just like success, focusing on that, you could get overwhelmed because you're not there. And then it's just a reminder of where you're not. Now, this is not typically the case. But the second thing that can happen, and this is from Psychology Today, this is from the science of, I can't remember it, science of something of, oh gosh, I can't remember. But it's also a Psychology Review. And they talk about how what can happen is that when you're looking at the end goal, like let's say I have a Lamborghini up, right? That's what I want to drive. What happens is sometimes your brain will see the Lamborghini as it's already something you have. And then instead of being more motivated physically to do the thing, what happens is you actually start to relax on doing it because you already envision yourself with it. Now, I'm not saying that this is always the case, but what I am saying is understand where a vision board is useful. It is always useful to know where you're headed. It's useful to know, like, at the end of the journey, where do I want to be? Like, I'm not going to buy a plane ticket and hope it brings me somewhere. I'm buying a plane ticket to somewhere specific. Right now, I might be going to Ireland, but maybe I end up in Galway, and I didn't know that. But I knew at least what direction to head, right? It's the same thing with your business. You've got to know where you want to go. And that's why vision boarding can be beautiful, because it's really helping you to dream. And I find that a lot of women have a hard time going and dreaming for themselves, right? They especially, and I'm not sure if it's an age thing, but I find this with a lot of clients that I work with. They have a hard time wanting things for themselves. Like when I say, well, what's your big goal? They start to tell me, like, I want to help my mom do this, buy a house. I want to help my husband retire. Well, what do you want? Like, what do you want your business to look like? Oh, well, I want it to be successful. It's very vague.
Yes.
So I think that vision boarding has it has a role, but we have to remember that we cannot focus on, like, hey, this is where I want to be, without looking at what am I doing right now? Because that's really where the damage happens. Is we're so focused on, wow, this is such a beautiful, I've had clients like this. They've had vision boards and they tell me, like, hey, I have my vision board up, and I'm like, so where has it gotten you? Because it's literally just a focal point. It's a reminder of why you're working hard. That's what it is. And yes, you can manifest it. If you mean by manifest, I'm going to do the work. Right. And so whenever people talk about manifesting, yeah, 100%, I believe in that, because you have to open up your mind to those things to open up those doors. But that also means you have to do the thing.
Right. You have to actually take the steps again. But,
yes.
in some of the things that we were talking about, though, I mean, it would make sense to put you doing these things as part, steps, not just the end result that you want to end up with, but like the steps, the little things that you want to accomplish on the way. Right. So you 100%. Could still surround yourself by those things. It's just be realistic in the steps that you can do, because your brain's automatically going to tell you aren't going to be able to achieve that thing, because it's going to say, you've never achieved this. How are you going to do that? Your brain can override and say, well, it's fact or fiction, and try to determine it. Right. So we have to put those baby wins, and we have some amazing videos that we have over on Momentum Studio. I don't know if you want, it's just More Momentum on Facebook, but Kai has mini Momentum minis that are amazing. One of them was specifically how to plan out these steps and make sure that you achieve them, because if you aren't achieving them, you're telling yourself you can't hit that goal. So we're actually like totally sabotaging ourselves in goal setting. Yeah. So good on the programs that you have, Kai.
and you have to.
Well, Miss Kai, she's like, wait, what? How can you hear me? Oh, I've got to get this back on. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Sorry, I was watching it on my phone instead of on the
Oh, yikes. Hold on. Let's fix that. Okay. So we only have a couple minutes, and I came back a little bit early because I wanted to make sure we were able to close out and give you guys some actual action items. And Kai, is there anything you want to leave people with before we end our broadcast today?
Well, we're going to go back to, the goal setting and how to climax your, I know that's like quite the word, right? But how to climax your goal setting. I mean, it's really about figuring out what's getting in your way. And I would say oftentimes we have these strategies in place, that are getting in our way. So you need to remember what goal setting is about. It's about creating the path, the directions that you're going to follow on the road. It isn't about, okay, if this happens, then I can't do it anymore. It isn't about like, I need to focus on where I'm going and I got to get there at any cost. It's simply a plan, right? To put into place. But if you are in a car and you have the directions printed and you got to get gas, then you got to stop to get gas. It doesn't mean you have to stop and turn around.
Right. And give up.
I feel like that's what happens when we're goal setting. It's like, okay, well, I didn't achieve it. It's done. I'll do this trip next year. And it's like, no, you don't do the trip next year. You go to the gas station, you get gas, you call the guy to give you a tow, you do what you have to do to get to the next point. And so that's what I really want you to understand, is that you want to make it climax, you've got to do it for yourself. That sounds almost wrong. But you know what I'm saying is that you have to be the instigator. You have to be willing to keep going until, this does sound really wrong, it's this Cosmo title that she taught us yesterday.
It's perfect. I know, I keep laughing because it's getting better and better as she keeps going. But it's true. It's true, guys. If you want to make business fun and actually work on your goal setting, we have an event, but it's for invitation only. So message us, private message us on Facebook, and let us know if you are interested in being able to really make a change in your business, set some goals, have some accountability, and get to the end destination without
climax.
Right.
Yes, but yes, we got to get off the live now, or else Joe's going to be.
We're going to let you guys go so you can see Joe, who's on after us. So thank you guys so much. We're here every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.